On August 6, 1945, one single atomic bomb took the precious lives of tens of thousands and left countless numbers of others hurt and injured. Today, a great many people still suffer from after effects. So that this tragedy is never repeated, Hiroshima has continued to appeal the realization of peace on Earth in a world without nuclear weapons. At the same time, the invaluable sacrifices and cooperation of the hibakusha have helped us to accumulate research results on medical care for the radiation-exposed and radiation disorders.
I am happy to come back to Hiroshima, where I spent a lot of time, and I think despite what happened with the A-bomb during the war, that the people of Hiroshima continue to be very forward-thinking and responsible to the world in terms of speaking about their experience, to share, to bring the world forward. And I really admire their people for that.
The atomic bomb completely destroyed the city of Hiroshima. The atomic bomb blast, heat rays, and radiation caused the loss of 140,000 lives and left countless numbers of people injured. The atomic bomb robbed people not only of their lives and social infrastructure, but also their homes, communities, and even memories. Nonetheless, due to the hard work of the people who survived, the city's streetcar resumed service only 3 days after the bombing and brought hope for revival. Hiroshima was able to overcome all hardships imaginable to build a prosperous society, achieving reconstruction that others called a miracle. The risks of health effects from radiation exposure are not limited to atomic bomb damage. In 1986, an accident occurred at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, causing a catastrophe due to a large amount of radiation. In 1987, a contamination accident caused by radioactive cesium occurred in the state of Goiás, Brazil. We now know the extent of peripheral radiation exposure from 40 years of testing at the Kazakhstan Semipalatinsk nuclear test site. In March 2011, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant accident happened as a result of the Great East Japan earthquake. HICARE and its member organizations have used an all-Hiroshima approach, taking advantage of the respective characteristics to provide medical support.
Currently in Latvia, we have 6,500 patients who at some point were stationed in Chernobyl and performed in cleanup works. So obviously all of our Chernobyl patients are either severely ill or even disabled. So we try to treat them and examine them regularly, usually every year. Through HICARE training program, I would definitely like to improve my knowledge of radiation altogether, and I would like to use the acquired knowledge in my work with victims of radiation. And since I also work as an instructor at the medical faculty, I would also like to use my knowledge to teach students.
チェルノブイリ原子力発電所事故の実態が明らかになったのを契機に、世界の放射線被爆者に対する医療面での支援が強く求められるようになりました。こうした世界的な要請に対し応えることができる知識と経験を広島が有していることから、関係機関の協力を得て1991年に放射線被爆者医療国際協力推進協議会を発足させました。
The name HICARE is taken from the initials of Hiroshima International Council for Healthcare of the Radiation Exposed. HICARE set up its secretariat within the Hiroshima prefectural government and is developing various programs with the help of experts who are locally active on the front line in atomic bomb and radiation treatment and research. HICARE is engaged in 3 major projects in order to improve research on radiation treatment and radiation effects in various countries. In the training program, HICARE conducts programs for doctors from overseas to obtain hands-on knowledge and experience of medical treatment for atomic bomb survivors accumulated in Hiroshima for the purpose of applying this to the treatment of radiation-affected patients in afflicted areas of the world. Not all of the training is provided by HICARE alone, but also in collaboration with other organizations such as IAEA and JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency. Trainees are accepted from countries involved in large-scale radiation disasters such as the Chernobyl disaster and the Semipalatinsk nuclear test, countries related to the network of international organizations such as the IAEA and JICA, and countries where hibakusha from Hiroshima and Nagasaki live. The training is carried out at 6 institutions in Hiroshima City.
広島赤十字病院も原爆により壊滅的な被害を受けましたが、生き残った職員たちは不眠不休で救護活動に当たりました。1956年には敷地内に原爆病院が設立され、以来被爆者の医療を担う病院として国内外の多くの被爆者の診断と治療を行ってまいりました。研修ではこれまでの取り組みと得られた経験についてお伝えします。
I'm Dr. Susan Reynolds. I'm proud to be the West Coast of the United States liaison for HICARE, the Hiroshima International Council for the Healthcare of the Radiation Exposed. I first learned about HICARE through the Los Angeles County Medical Association. I was so impressed with their research that in a family trip to Japan in 2012, I decided to visit Hiroshima. It was incredibly impressive, and while I was here, I was asked if I would help recruit doctors to come to their training program. I've just done it as a volunteer because I thought it was a good thing to do, and I make a lot of doctors happy with their trips to Japan where they meet wonderful people and learn a tremendous amount about the A-bomb survivors and about radiation emergencies.
For me, specifically today as a practicing clinician, one of the more interesting parts was the effects of low-dose radiation. They could clearly show had immediate chromosome damage that could be documented with the FISH studies. And it's something that really applies every day since every practicing clinician is exposing patients to low doses of radiation for diagnostic purposes several times every shift or day in the clinic, whatever the case may be. So the big picture part for day-to-day doctors is fantastic, and just the historical information, both culturally and medically, has been phenomenal.
The training program is not only about studying medical treatment for atomic bomb survivors, but also cultural exchange. Participants experience the food culture of Hiroshima and Japanese tradition. Hiroshima, home to HICARE, has many attractions, including the World Heritage Site Itsukushima Shrine and the Atomic Bomb Dome, which attract many tourists from home and abroad. Blessed with the rich nature of the serene Seto Inland Sea and the gentle Chugoku Mountain Range, this climate that fosters an abundance of produce is fondly known as the microcosm of Japan. You cannot talk about food in Hiroshima without talking about okonomiyaki. And Hiroshima boasts the largest production of oysters so rich in nutrients that Japanese call them milk of the sea. And to top it off, this area is the go-to place for sake with many of Japan's leading sake breweries. Please come and experience present-day Hiroshima that stood up out of the atomic-bombed rubble and developed into a beautiful city. In the dispatch program, doctors and other experts are dispatched to provide technical guidance and medical information to medical personnel who engage in the treatment of exposed individuals in the affected areas of the world. Many doctors and specialists are dispatched to countries that have connections with the Chernobyl disaster, as well as the Republic of Kazakhstan, where nuclear tests were repeated in Semipalatinsk. In addition, in countries where hibakusha from Hiroshima and Nagasaki live, on-site training sessions for doctors, other medical workers, and medical students are held to provide medical information regarding atomic bomb survivors.
今なお多くの被爆者が住んでおられるハワイのホノルル市で被爆者を直接診療しておられる医師の方々を対象とした研修を行いました。私が所属する広島原爆障害対策協議会が長年にわたって実施している被爆者検診の結果から得られた健康管理上の課題を中心にお話ししました。在外被爆者の皆さんも高齢になっておられ、身近な地域での医師が果たす役割はますます大きくなっていることから、このような研修は大変有意義であると思います。
The other is the Public Awareness Program. As a project to mark the beginning of the history of HICARE, HICARE published Effects of A-Bomb Radiation on the Human Body in 1992, the year after HICARE was established. It is a medical handbook packed with expert knowledge of medical care for atomic bomb survivors in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Later, in light of the progress in research on the effects of atomic bomb radiation, in 2012, HICARE published a revised edition incorporating new findings and research results. HICARE also holds lectures to inform the public about the significance and necessity of promoting international cooperation in medical care for the radiation exposed. On August 6, 2010, HICARE exchanged practical arrangements with the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, on the collaborative implementation of projects related to treatment and study of radiation-exposed individuals with the aim of contributing to international peace and stability. Later, in 2014, HICARE was designated as the IAEA Collaborating Center in a project related to the development of human resources related to radiation effects and human health. With the IAEA, HICARE conducts collaborative medical training and joint research in the three fields: effects on radiation on the human body, medical treatment for radiation accidents and disasters, and advanced radiation therapy.
授業には、受け入れ研修とですね、それから専門家の派遣、さらに普及啓発活動というのがあるんですが、そのいずれにおいても IAEA との連携というのは非常に意義があるというふうに私は思っています。研修コースのですね、企画実施において IAEA の貢献は非常に大きくて、特に講師を IAEA が派遣してくださっている。で、その講師は世界のエキスパートということでですね、研修コースの質は非常に向上したというふうに考えています。もう一つIAEA に非常に感謝していることがありましてですね、それは IAEA にはインターンシッププログラムというのがあります。広島大学医学部の学生さんを毎年1人受け入れてもらっているんです。こういう人たちが将来HICAREの事業の一翼を担ってくだされば、これは非常に意義のあることだと思います。
私は IAEA と共同した国際医療研修の監修者として IAEA から派遣していただく世界最先端の講師と、そして日本の第一線で活躍する放射線治療の専門家を広島にお招きして、最先端の放射線治療の知識と技術の習得を目的とした研修を実施しております。多くの国と地域から研修生が広島を訪れ、放射線治療の知識や技術を習得するとともに、研修生相互の国際的なネットワークも形成されています。今後も IAEA と共同して放射線治療分野の 人材育成においての国際貢献を図ってまいりたいと考えております。
我々今 IAEA との共同研究を行っています。これはどういうものかというと、染色体の検査などを使ってどれだけその人が放射線の影響を受けたかっていうのを調べる方法です。でこの方法を世界にまず広げようというのがまず2年前までのプロジェクトです。で現在はそれをいかに医学の世界に応用するかと、放射線の治療あるいは診断の影響をこの方法を使って調べていこうというふうに研究を進めています。
In addition, medical students are dispatched as interns to the IAEA to develop human resources with an international perspective to succeed and develop the experience of medical care for the radiation exposed, along with research results that Hiroshima possesses.
私がインターンシッププログラムで学んだことは、異なるバックグラウンドを持つ人々が同じ職場で働くということです。言語や国籍はもちろん、異なる専門分野を持った人々が同じ職場で働くということは日本や病院ではできない経験だったと思います。今回のインターンシップを通して海外や国際機関で働くということがより身近に感じられるようになりました。今後この経験を生かして海外や国際機関で働くということも視野に入れていきたいと思います。
HICARE also conducts visiting lectures by experts in the field, targeting high school students to convey Hiroshima's international contribution in medical care and research on hibakusha to educate the next generation so that they can contribute to the world with aspirations. Hiroshima is the mecca of world peace. The battle with atomic bomb radiation here and the knowledge and experience in medical care for the atomic bomb survivors accumulated during that time must continue to be used in medical care for the radiation exposed throughout the world.
HICARE の事業、受け入れ研修、それから専門家の派遣、普及啓発活動、こういったものはこれまで通り継続していく必要が当然あるんですが、ただただ継続するというんではなくてですね、適宜評価を加えて、改めるべきところがあれば、あるいは加えることがあればですね、それを取り入れてやっていってもらいたいというふうに思っています。新しいメディア、例えばインターネット等を活用してですね、タイムリーな情報発信、これは求められてくると思います。
HICARE will continue to contribute to international cooperation by responding to the demands of the times based on medical care for the radiation exposed and effectively using research results and new findings accumulated in Hiroshima.